The Kremlin is massively developing chemical weapons and recruiting chemists for this purpose. Dutch intelligence services have gathered evidence of Russia's widespread use of banned chemical weapons in the war against Ukraine. The head of Dutch military intelligence, Peter Rizink, and the country's defense minister stated that the conclusions are based on their own independent intelligence. The trend of the Russian army using banned chemical weapons has been monitored over the past few years. According to the Dutch Ministry of Defense, at least 3 Ukrainians have died from this weapon, and more than 2,500 have been injured on the battlefield. The Netherlands has also obtained evidence of intensified chemical weapons production, experiments, and the recruitment of scientists for development, and Russian soldiers have been given instructions on how to use them. Chemical bombs are being fitted onto drones, meaning this is part of a large-scale program. In Amsterdam, there are concerns that these technologies could become a threat to the rest of the world. Therefore, they are calling for tougher sanctions against Moscow. In Rome, a gas station exploded powerfully. At least 24 people are known to have been injured. Among them are rescuers who arrived to put out the fire. The explosion at the gas station was so powerful that it was heard in many parts of the city. A column of smoke and fire rose tens of meters into the air. It is assumed that the accident happened because the pump became disconnected from the tank that supplied fuel to the distribution system. For safety reasons, law enforcement had to close the nearest metro station. China will not allow Russia to be defeated in the war against Ukraine. This was allegedly stated by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang during talks with his EU counterpart Kaja Kallas. The South China Morning Post, citing sources familiar with the closed-door talks, writes, "The discussion lasted 4 hours and was quite tense. A Chinese diplomat told Kallas that a Kremlin defeat is not at all in the interests of China because in such a case, the United States would allegedly shift its full attention to them." At the same time, Beijing denies any involvement in this war. Wang Yi allegedly categorically denied that they are helping Russia financially or militarily. According to the official, if that were true, the war would have ended a long time ago. The Czech Republic was paralyzed by a massive blackout. Businesses, households, and transportation were left without electricity. In Prague, the metro, trams, and railways stopped for half a day. Many people got stuck in elevators, and critical enterprises switched to emergency power sources. ATMs and stores were also out of service. Authorities report that the accident occurred on one of the power lines, which is why outages happened in the north and east of the Czech Republic. The causes of the blackout are currently being investigated. Energy workers are working to restore electricity. Under similar circumstances, a large-scale power outage occurred in Spain at the end of April. At that time, the blackout caused damages of more than €1.5 billion. It was a technological error in voltage calculations.
More than 24 dead, missing children. These are the consequences of a sudden flood in Texas. Kerr County was at the epicenter. That's about 100 kilometers from San Antonio. For the local authorities, the disaster came as a complete surprise. Due to heavy downpours, the level of the Guadalupe River rose by a record 9 meters in some places. The water destroyed roads, swept away cars, including ambulances. More than 230 people were forced to evacuate, many with the help of helicopters. The Mystic camp was especially hard hit. At the time, there were more than 700 children there. 25 of them are considered missing. A state of emergency has already been declared in the state, and local authorities have appealed to the White House for assistance.
Millionaires, but only for 15 minutes. In Norway, thousands of people are experiencing mass disappointment after the state lottery operator mistakenly credited them with huge sums of money. No one managed to collect the money as the company apologized to its clients and corrected the mistake. Why did this happen and what do the owners of the winning tickets have to say? Katerina Fedorchenko has more details.
We didn't win just once, but twice. And we won almost 2 million Norwegian kroner. It's just crazy.
Messages about huge winnings were sent to thousands of Norwegians. After receiving the notification, Sean started making joyful plans.
For us young people, it's not easy to get the chance to buy a home. So I thought, now I can finally really start saving money.
The joy, Marianne says, didn't last long. After the first message from the lottery operator about the big win, a second one arrived.
We were millionaires for 15 minutes and it seemed like all our financial problems were solved. Then it turned out that wasn't quite the case.
47,000 Norwegians received notifications from the state lotteries about huge winnings. As it turned out, it was a mistake. It all happened because of the conversion from euro cents to Norwegian kroner. Instead of dividing the amount, the system multiplied it and increased the results by 10,000 times. No payouts were made in time. The mistake was quickly corrected, but fixing the disappointment of the clients will be much harder.
It's awful when you think you've won so much. I opened a bottle of good champagne that I had planned to save. And then you get this message and of course it's really bad.
The company promises to conduct an investigation into how the mistake happened. The CEO of the lottery apologized to the clients and resigned. Now the Ministry of Culture, which formerly owns the lottery, will have to deal with the reputational losses.
This is very serious because we depend on people's trust. And I would like to emphasize that the board's task now is to restore that trust and do everything possible to prevent similar mistakes from happening again.
Mariana's winnings turned out to be only 97 crowns instead of 2 million. This is about 400 hryvnias. The woman decided to play this amount in another lottery. However, after the operator's mistake, she drew her own conclusions.
If there's a prize to be awarded today, I think I will wait until the morning to thoroughly check if everything is indeed okay.
Katerina Fedorchenko, TSN 1+1.
They are tougher with Russia than even Iran. Last night, Trump commented on his conversation with Putin. He emphasized he was very dissatisfied with the conversation because the war continues and Putin is ready to go all the way. Trump says the U.S. has helped Ukraine and will continue to do so. He recalled he and Putin talked about sanctions, and the Kremlin leader didn't like them. At the same time, true to his style, Trump said the Russian dictator managed to deal with the sanctions imposed by Biden. And they weren't very serious. But if he imposes sanctions, they'll be tough. We'd like to see action, not just words, to be honest. I'm tougher on Russia than on Iran. He managed to deal with them, but those were Biden's sanctions, while mine are pretty tough. Do you think this kind of Donald Trump would dare to impose crushing sanctions against Russia? And under what conditions? Be sure to share your own thoughts in the comments under this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Meanwhile, I'll continue with the TSN broadcast.